What do you get when you take Marvel's most beloved character and put him in a story with stunning visuals, emotional weight, fun cameos, and a strong sense of purpose? Well, you get Spider-Man Brand New Day. Wow, wow, wow. This movie is just spectacular. And you could also probably say amazing.
Yeah, I have to agree with Luke. This movie was just amazing and spectacular and ultimate.
But for real, this movie is actually really good. I already had high hopes going into this movie, and this movie delivered. Before we jump into the story and Spider-Man's character, I just want to acknowledge the visuals of this movie. Oh my gosh, they were beautiful. It is definitely a huge step up from the previous Spider-Man movies where they felt kind of gray and flat, whereas this one, super colorful, felt like a comic, and the cinematography by Brett Pollack, who actually did the cinematography for Wonder Man, he did an amazing job on this movie. I just loved the wide angle shots of New York City and showing the beautiful skyline while contrasting that with the dirty, grungy city streets of New York. And even the really close-up shots of Spider-Man and inside his mask, as well as the POV shots of him swinging, which was reminiscent of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies. Basically, to sum it up, this movie, visually very pleasing. Now, let's get into the story. Like I said, this movie depicted Spider-Man as a street-level hero. Nothing that's him going into outer space or big potato kind of missions. If you know, you know. It was great to see Punisher again, and I think his character fit really well into the story. The Hulk also fit really well into the story, as well as Scorpion and a bunch of other characters that we see from the trailers. I was kind of worried going into this movie that it was going to be a little muddled with all these different characters and cameos, but in the end, I think they all fit very well into this movie. No one took too much of the limelight. The main focus was Spider-Man, which was great. So it didn't feel oversaturated.
I was definitely a fan of everything. There were only a few things here and there that I'll go into that may have been written a little bit better, but Spider-Man Brand New Day was probably the best Spider-Man film I have ever seen, especially comparing that to the Tobey series and the Andrew Garfield movies. Like, this movie was awesome.
Another thing to highlight in this movie was just the fight choreography. It was great to see Peter Parker fighting the bad guys, and it felt just like the Spider-Man video game on the PS4.
The action shots were awesome. I loved being able to swing with Spider-Man, and it made me feel like I was playing the Spider-Man game. Like Luke said, the action shots were awesome. I loved the choreography, and it didn't feel too VFX-y. It felt like they were on these stunt cables, and it felt more practical than visual, and I was definitely a fan of that. You can definitely tell that this movie was made with love and care, with comic book fans in mind. I think people have always been searching for the next good Spider-Man film, and while the first three of Tom Holland's were a good origin story of him, this one we finally get to see him struggle, especially within himself, with his mutant DNA and trying to balance that with a chip that he makes. So it was just a great piece that, being an audience member and also a fan of Spider-Man, I knew that they wanted the fans to enjoy this movie as much as they did making it. Let's talk about Punisher. Love his character. His show was awesome, and I hope he gets more stuff in the future. Loved his one shot that was recently taken and put out into the world. So Punisher and Spider-Man, their whole dynamic felt like not buddy cop, but it was maybe anti-buddy cop, if you want to call it that. Punisher has always been a serious character and Spider-Man hasn't. So there were some moments where like Punisher was too serious and Spider-Man wasn't, and that fit well. There was one scene that did irk me a little bit where Punisher and Spider-Man are having this heartfelt moment, and then Spider-Man makes a joke and Punisher immediately laughs. I think this could have been a little bit better, especially with Frank's character and how John Bernthal is in this character. of him maybe just being a little serious, and then it finally gets to him, and then he starts laughing. That's just a little touch from my point of view. If you have anything to say about that, let us know in the comments if you've seen this movie and want to see something different. But either way, I think Punisher and Spider-Man, we didn't get a lot of exposition, but I think we got enough to where their relationship was connected outside of the camera. Sadie Sink did an amazing job with her character. We'll get into spoilers in a little bit, but I think she played her character very well. She was just the right person, I think, for a character such as this in this film.
Also, the emotional beats of this movie. One scene in particular that I loved was a pretty emotionally important scene. They didn't throw in a joke like we're used to in Marvel movies, where there can never be a serious moment without some joke thrown into it. So this scene was really great, and I think they handled it really well, along with other emotional beats throughout the movie.
We'll talk about Spider-Man here because it's all about his movie. Being able to see him go through just hard times of living alone and finally being able to reach out to his friends that were his friends before the whole spell casting thing happened, and now we see him being able to connect with people. Like, the party scene was awesome just because this dude finally gets to meet up with his friends, and it's just an awesome scene. If you go see the movie, please pay attention to that scene. It's just a wonderful example of him finally being able to connect back with his friends after 4 years of watching them from afar. It's just it's a small scene, but something that is appreciated because you get to see Spider-Man go through his feelings in this.
Now, I do want to talk about some stuff that is going to be a bit of a spoiler alert. So if you want to skip ahead, go to this timestamp right here. I'll give you a second. Perfect. All right. So we get to see Yelena in this movie for a little bit, and I think it was a really cool cameo, but it also, I think the only purpose of her being in this movie was to give an explanation as to why the Avengers didn't show up in this movie, which is understandable. We wanted this to be a mainly Spider-Man focused movie, so that was okay. I just thought it was kind of funny. Secondly, Jean Grey's character. Now, I'm not a big X-Men fan or person that's super knowledgeable on them, but I think that they handled her character very well in this movie. And they also teased enough for future products while also leaving us satisfied with the ending of this movie. I am liking how Marvel Studios is sprinkling in X-Men content in some of their movies to set up for future movies, such as Adamantium in Captain America Brave New World, Jean Grey in this movie, Beast showing up at the end of Marvels or something. I don't know, I didn't watch that movie. I was kind of disappointed with how they handled Spider-Man vs. Hulk. I felt like the battle ended way too soon, but I also understand for the runtime, so that's okay. Overall, I highly recommend this movie, and probably by the time you're watching this, I have seen it in theaters a second time. That's just how good it is. I loved Spider-Man's character growth throughout the movie, as well as figuring out his relationship with MJ and Ned, and also fighting this new enemy that is introduced in this movie. As mentioned, the cinematography, the lighting, everything about it was just beautiful, and something that probably not a lot of people even say in movie reviews, the credits. Like, I just loved them. It was just a bunch of shots of New York with the actors' names over it. Nothing special, but just visually it was pleasing with the music. It brought a tear to my eye. If you're a huge Spider-Man fan, I don't need to convince you to watch this movie. If you're not a huge Spider-Man fan and you don't know much about Marvel, still, go watch this movie. I think this works as a really good standalone solo movie. They do provide some exposition from previous movies, so you're not going to be too lost, but you can always ask the person that invited you.
Luke was right when this movie was talking about it being a grounded story, maybe more standalone-ish, but I think it's also a good jump-off point for what's going to happen in this next phase of the MCU, especially with Doomsday happening and Secret Wars. Like, this is a good starting point for what's to come, and I really hope that they build off of what happened in this movie to what's going to happen later down the line in maybe 4 or 5 years.
Spider-Man Brand New Day is great to see.
But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. We want to continue making videos for you and talk about the movies that we love. So let us know.